So thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here to kind of chat about what I do in this thing that I call kind of aligned leadership. And it's all about moving from anxiety to calm. So what I'm going to do for the next kind of 25 minutes is I'm going to give you a little bit of the sciencey stuff, a little chat on the science behind mindset and kind of embodied mindset. I promise you it won't be too long, but it is super important for you to kind of understand where I'm coming from with mindset. And then I'm going to take you guys through a meditation. It's all to do with resetting your nervous system, which we'll talk about in a bit as well. So I'm hoping that after 25 minutes, you're going to have a little bit of an understanding about mindset and also come away feeling nice and calm after your session and into the rest of your afternoon. So I know that you already introduced me, but just hello again. I'm Charley and I'm all about helping female entrepreneurs overcome anxiety and just coming back to a place of calm alignment so that you can move forward with confidence and calm. And I work with a few modalities, one called multiple brain integration technique, which you'll find out more about in a bit. Sounds super complicated, but it's not. And then NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and then positive psychology. So I'm all about kind of fusing science and soul to coaching. So I'm bringing neuroscience to how we work together so that you're able to break free of old patterns and really start to create change. And then you can focus on what really matters to you in your business. So aligned leadership. This is what I feel is a really powerful way to utilize the wisdom, especially in your heart, in your business. So I'm going to chat to you a little bit about that. And so why is it that I feel like body is important as well with mindset? Because that to me is what unstoppable success is. When you take your mind, but you also utilize it and connect it to your body, that is to me where you're going to really get your calm success to come from. And what we're finding out is that the latest in neuroscience is telling us that we have more than one brain, which I'll go over again in a bit. But essentially what we know is that you have intelligence located throughout your whole body. It's not just your head brain. And that is super important. And it's also really key to kind of look at why we've lost this sense of connection and alignment to that part of us and how we can bring it back to start utilizing that wisdom. So why is this relevant to you? Your intelligence is 5% conscious and 95% subconscious. That means that 95% of your amazingness is subconscious and often not tapped into and utilized. So you've got all of this wisdom and intelligence deeper within your body that most of the time we're not using. However, it is there to be accessed. Right? It's not something that we just can't access ever. You are able to access that wisdom within you. Normally what's happened is just that we've forgotten how. So knowing that it's like this awesome gift that you know that you have all of this other wisdom within you that you can learn to tap into. And why do I think that this is relevant? To me, a lot of the old sort of business matrix stuff is really ego head-based, making decisions from your head, strategy. That's when monkey mind can come in, overthinking, all of this stuff. And often we forget to drop into our hearts and really tune into what it is that we really desire. So it's important to know where your intelligence is located. So we know that there are all the elements that make up a brain. So neurons, neurotransmitters, they're located not just in your head brain, the one that we all know about, but also in your heart and in your gut. So your heart, it's its own emotional system. So it has its memory, it can learn and grow new neurons. And I've written this one down because I wanted to get it right, but your heart, like the brain, generates a powerful electromagnetic field, and it is actually the most powerful electromagnetic field in your body. So when it's measured on an EEG, it's about 60 times greater in amplitude than your brain. So that power from your heart can also be measured outside of your body. So you basically have this field being emitted from your heart space that is more powerful than the energy emitted from your brain. So to me, that is a whole load of wisdom sitting right in your heart that a lot of the time we're not really connected to. And then you also have a brain about the size of a cat's brain in your gut. And both your brain and your heart send more messages up to your head brain than the other way around. So when I like to say the head brain or the ego doesn't drive the bus. Your heart is the driver of the bus. Your head brain is just there for the ride. So we need to be able to start connecting to that deeper wisdom, connecting to the gut wisdom, connecting to the heart wisdom, so that you can start aligning. That's where the alignment comes. When you connect the three and touch in with the three, this is where you can make properly aligned decisions from. So then it's a case of, okay, so you found out that you have a heart and a brain in your heart and your gut. Cool. But we need to know how those parts of us communicate with us and how we can actually touch into that. So both your heart and your gut are connected to your head brain via the vagus nerve. And we have access to these parts of us via the autonomic nervous system. So you've probably heard of the sympathetic state when you're in that fight or flight kind of stress state. And then the parasympathetic state is when you're kind of lethargic and kind of go into that depressive state. So when we want to start connecting into our heart and gut, we use the autonomic nervous system to be able to do that. And it's about balancing your nervous system through various techniques, because we want us to be in this coherent state. So when your heart is coherent, it has a wave pattern that's more kind of like this. When you're out of coherence or you're stressed, it's kind of like that. So the work is then getting yourself into coherence so you can start dropping into understanding how your body intelligence works. So as I said in my little bio bit, the study on introspection, which is what we're talking about here, showed that the study group who were trained on how to go inwards, so they had a markedly lower incidence of anxiety. And I thought that 31% was a really interesting number, the people that were able to eradicate their anxiety completely. And what they did was teach them tools as to how to go inwards. So often it can feel quite intangible, this whole, what does going inwards mean? And then to kind of help with that, it's about, okay, so science is showing me I have this intelligence in my heart and in my gut. I know that the nervous system is something that allows me to access these things. So how do I then go about understanding how my body communicates with me and my heart and those parts of me communicate? So if you can think of a time when maybe you were stressed or anxious, like did you ever get a nauseous feeling? Or if you met someone that you weren't sure of, did you ever get that kind of feeling of wanting to pull away from them? Or when you're nervous, that kind of heart palpitations that you can get? Or if it's someone that you like, sometimes there's that feeling of wanting to be near them, wanting to pull close. So there's loads of different ways that your body communicates, and it's more semantic. So as I've put here, examples: quickening heartbeat, vibrations. Sometimes you get tingling or buzzing in different places in your body. And it's just it's your body's way of letting you know whether it's balanced or kind of imbalanced. And often the heart and the gut are going to come to you in quieter voices. You'll find you'll get things like images, colors, metaphors. And then it's the head brain, the head brain's job to process those for you in a way that you're going to understand what the meanings are. So your head brain is still there to kind of take the messages and put them into a format that you're then able to understand. So yeah, this is my important concept. When you learn how to communicate with and align your head, heart, and gut intelligences, that is when you're setting yourself up for the foundations of really sustainable inner success and sustainable emotional foundations. So another way that I like to put it here is your head brain. Think of it as your map, your treasure map. There's so many different ways that you can go on a treasure map to get to that treasure. And its highest expression is creativity. So when it's aligned, you're going to have total clarity on the directions that you could go and how you're going to get there. So you're going to see the map clearly. But when it's not aligned, it's when you get the manifestations of overthinking, monkey mind. You don't really know what you should be doing, that kind of like constant worrying in your brain. Think of it more as your map's cloudy. You can't see where you're going. You don't know what way you should be choosing. And that kind of constant overthinking. So then you have your heart. Your heart is your compass. So when your map's clear and you've got all these options that you could choose to go down, your heart is there to guide you with helping decide which way to go. It's going to really be your true compass on which of the choices are best for you. And its highest expression is compassion. So when you're really aligned, when you're connected to your heart, you're able to really confidently show up 100% authentically as you are. There's no hiding, there's no fear of being seen. You're just able to sit in your worth and just feel like you can move forward from that place of confidence and ease. But then when it's not aligned or blocked, this is when you get the fears of being unworthy, of maybe being afraid of success, fear of failure, fear of other people seeing you, and that kind of like hiding yourself away a little bit, not letting yourself truly shine. Then you have this gut intelligence or gut intuition. Now, the highest expression is courage. And I like to kind of have the gut intuition more as that higher self guiding you. So it's that deep, that 95%, that subconscious intelligence, that deeper part of you that's there to make sure it's like just on the ride. Okay, you've chosen this way to go. Yep, that sounds good. Let's go at it with some courage. And when you're aligned and you've kind of worked through the blocks that might be down there, you're going to have this feeling of trust and deep belief in yourself to be able to take courageous action. But when it's not aligned, that's when you get the manifestations of anxiety, again, fears of not believing in yourself, not trusting in yourself. And often that's when you hold yourself back. When you don't go out of your comfort zone, you hold yourself back from making those big courageous moves because you don't trust yourself, you don't believe in yourself, you're not sure you can do it. So what we want to do is to unblock and align these intelligences within you so that you know exactly which way you want to go, you're truly connected with the ways and desires that you have, and you truly believe in yourself to take the courageous action to get there. So what did I put on my next slide? Oh, no, it's not time to play yet. So how do we do this? Before we go into the meditation, I just wanted to kind of talk to you a bit about how my approach works. So firstly, what we do is we regulate your nervous system. Often if you're sitting in periods of anxiety, it's because you're stuck in that fight or flight mode and you're never going to be able to connect with the heart, gut, that deeper part of you if you're tense, stressed, constantly fighting, can't get past the kind of mind to connect to your heart. So that's the science bit. We use a balanced breathing technique, science, to be able to calm your nervous system so that you're able to really touch into what your heart desires. So that's more of the soul stuff. You really touch into what you want, what you desire, what you value. So then what we'll do is we use visualization techniques. Your brain doesn't know the difference between an image that you're looking at right now in real time and a projected image that you put in your mind's eye. It takes both of them as real. So we use really powerful visualization techniques to start connecting into your heart. What things do you really feel grateful for? What makes you feel calm? What gets you buzzing? Like what gets you feeling joy? What is it that like activates your heart? Because that's when we kind of can really utilize that heart energy as finding the code to your connection. And I like to call that the heart activation code. It's that more soulful piece. It's finding out what works for you so that you're able to then bring to the surface the subconscious blocks that could be keeping you small. And this visualization techniques is how we're able to repattern and reprogram what's going on down there. So if you have a limiting belief about not being good enough, that block is sitting within you. Normally it's in the gut, sometimes it can be in the heart. But when you connect to that inner wisdom, you're able to bring that block to the surface. And we use NLP techniques and then the multiple brain integration technique, which is the head, heart, and gut alignment, to be able to repattern how you view that limiting belief and help you see it in a different way so that it's not holding you back. And then that repatterning is basically what's happening in your brain. So neurons that fire together wire together. your brain wants the easiest pathway it can take to think about things. So if you've got this limiting belief of I'm not good enough, and you're always thinking about that, you're basically ingraining that pattern in your mind. So through the visualization and through the repatterning, we're able to change and break that pathway so you can transform into something different and not let it hold you back. So doing this is how you get into that aligned kind of leadership place, and it's there to help free you to step into and embody your truest kind of heart-led self. And I feel that when you're connected to what your heart truly desires, and you've got the courageous kind of emotional foundations, and you utilize that in business, you're able to move forward in a completely different manner in the way that you run your business and the way that you show up as a CEO, someone that's aligned and connected to what you truly desire. And I'm quite passionate about changing the way that we do business in that respect, and making it less head-based and more heart-based. Because for me, I feel like that brings more longevity to what we're doing. So yeah, that is my science bit. Is there any questions that you have at this point before I start taking you through the meditation? All good?
I have a little question, if that's all right. You know, you're saying about the gut has a brain the size of a cat. So where is that in your gut? Or is it just all the neurons in your gut that collectively, there's not like a little cat brain somewhere halfway down your gut?
But yeah, it's basically all of the kind of neurotransmitters and the neurons that are located all around within that gut space. If you were to bring them all together,
right, okay,
it would create what would be the size of the cat's brain. It's basically used as a way to kind of help you understand how much of the brain stuff you have down there.
Right. It's not you've swallowed a fur ball or something. It's just stuck there.
Like, hello gut, are you there? But no, so yeah, it's just more about giving you an idea of like how much of the brain, the elements that make up a brain is actually located down there.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take you through a visualization and a balanced breathing. What we're going to do is start calming your nervous system. And maybe start touching in a little bit with that kind of heart stuff and see what comes up for you. So if you want to turn your cameras off, you are more than welcome to do so. Whatever feels comfortable for you. We'll probably go for about 10-15 minutes max. And yeah, so if you just make sure that you're nice and comfortable wherever you're sitting, make sure your feet are flat on the floor, make sure your back feels supported. And just come with the intention that all you have to do for the next 10 minutes is listen to my voice. And if you're someone that finds that you do have a bit of a monkey mind, I'd like for you to just invite your head to take a holiday. Just say to it right now, hey, I've got nothing I need to do right now. I'd just love for you to take a holiday in this next 5-10 minutes. Just have that kind of intention to relax into, connect inwards now. So just starting to focus on your breathing. See if you can use your senses to tune into how the breath comes into your body. Can you really feel the coldness of the breath in your nose as it comes in? Can you feel it come into your lungs? What's it like as your chest expands? And then how is it different as you exhale? What sense is different then? And if there's any noises around you, that's totally fine. Just bringing your attention back to your body and your breath. So I'd like for you to start elongating your breath slightly now. So for each in-breath, I'd like you to breathe into your count of 5, really expanding the breath in your belly and chest. And then breathing out to your count of 5. What we want is this nice, flow between your in-breath and your out-breath. So in for 5 and flow out for 5. And we always come back to this breath pattern. Just allowing that breath to enter into your belly and your chest, really letting it expand. And as you're breathing, focus on your heart space now. See if you can tune in on your heartbeat. As you're breathing, are you able to sense the pulse in your chest? Are you able to sense your pulse anywhere else in your body? Can you feel it in your fingertips, perhaps, or your toes? If you were to really tune in with your hearing, can you hear your pulse? Just all the while breathing into your count of 5 and out to your count of 5. And again, if you find your mind wandering, that's totally okay. Just remind it, hey, you're on a holiday. We'll come back to you later. Just stick with that resonance in your heart space. And if you're someone that finds connecting to your heart or gratitude difficult, don't worry. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong or that you're not able to. Everyone's different. Just invite you to be curious about what works for you. So again, breathing in for 5 and out for 5. Now, as you're focusing on your heart space, I'd like for you to bring to mind something that makes you feel happy or joyful, or it could be gratitude, or bring to mind somewhere where you feel really peaceful. So anything that gives you a sense of resonance in your heart. Maybe it's remembering a time you were on a beach that you loved, or being in the mountains. Maybe it's simply just being in your bed in freshly washed sheets. Maybe it's imagining someone that you really care about. Maybe it's imagining your pet. Whatever it is that works for you, just bring to mind an image and just let that sit with you for a moment as you breathe into your count of 5 and out to your count of 5. Now, wherever you are, if you're in a place that makes you feel peaceful, really allow yourself to be there now. And if you're imagining a person, visualize yourself being with them now. Use your senses to tune in to everything. So see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel. If you're in nature, maybe you can hear the birds sing. Maybe you can feel the ground underneath your feet. Whatever it is, just allow that to resonate as you breathe into your count of 5 and out to your count of 5. On your next in-breath, I'd like for you to feel yourself expand that feeling of calm, gratitude, joy. Expand in your chest as you breathe in. Really see if you can fill the space with that emotion as much as you can, collecting all of those pockets of lovely feeling. And as you breathe out, sense and feel yourself sending all of that energy all over the rest of your body. So down your neck, letting it relax now, down your chest, thighs, down through your toes. And again, breathing in that compassion and gratitude you feel for this person, or the gratitude and joy you feel for the place you're in. Expand it as much as you can in your chest. Feel yourself building up these pockets of emotion. And as you breathe out, sending that energy all over the rest of your body. So see yourself sending it to your head, down your neck, over your shoulders, relaxing them now, relaxing down into your body, thighs, legs, toes. And again, breathing in, collecting all those pockets of emotion, letting it expand there. And as you breathe out, feel yourself sensing that all over your body, as if you're gifting the rest of your body this energy from your heart. You're gifting the rest of your body the gratitude that you feel, or the joy or the calmness. Now, on this next in-breath, I'd like you to collect all of that energy again, as much as you can. Even if it's a tiny amount, that's fine. Your heart will learn how to expand it the more you practice. So building it up, and this time I'd like for you to visualize sending that heart energy out into the room around you. Feel yourself as if you're kind of putting it out into your own force field around your body. Again, collect those pockets again, breathing into your count of 5, collecting as much as you can, building it up. And as you breathe out, sending it, really visualize and sense yourself sending that energy from your heart out into the room around you. Now, on this next in-breath, I'd like for you to bring to mind someone that you'd like to send this heart energy to, someone that you really care about, whether it's a friend or family member, someone that you feel deserves this compassion from your heart. So build it up on your in-breath as much as you can. You really wanting to build up as much of this lovely energy for them. And as you breathe out, visualize yourself sending that energy from your heart over to their heart, gifting them this compassion. And as you do that, just wish them happiness. I wish for you to be happy and well. And again, breathing into your count of 5, collecting all of that wonderful heart energy, expand it as much as you can. And again, gift this energy from your heart out to this person and their heart, wishing them happiness and health. And as you continue with that breath, breathing in for 5 and out for 5, just sensing how your body feels in this moment. And then just touching into your heart, really focusing on your heart now with the intent of communicating with that part of you. And the heart is the seat of our desires, the seat of all of our values. Just asking your heart now, what is something that I truly value? What is something that I truly value? And just being curious as to what comes up. It could be a word or an image or a feeling, a sensation. Whatever's there, just let it be there. And then as you breathe into your count of 5, I'd like for you to take a swallow now. Swallow down that gratitude and heart energy. Your gut starts at the top of your throat. So we're sending the energy down your throat, down to your gut, that heart energy down to there. And just asking that part of you with the intent of communicating to that deeper gut intuition, what do I deeply need to trust myself? What do I deeply need to trust myself? Again, just being open and curious to what comes up. You don't need to have a sense of what this means just yet. Just allow whatever's there to be there, and you can always think about it and go over it later. So just breathing back up to your heart space now. Breathing your attention up to your head. Just say hello to your head again. Like, hey, back to chat to you. How are you feeling? And just asking that part of you, how can I be more creative? How can I be more creative? Just allowing whatever's there to be there. And again, just settling back on your heart, taking another breath in for 5, letting that energy in your heart be there as much as you can. And just letting that next breath out for 5 as you relax your shoulders down, relax your neck, relax your tummy, relax every part of your body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back to the space. If anyone feels like sharing what came up for them, you are more than welcome to. And it's okay if you don't want to as well. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Hi, yeah, sorry, I was on mute there. Yeah, I found it difficult to find one image, which is at the calm place. I think I'm very easily distracted.
Okay.
So I didn't find it. I couldn't sort of visualize something immediately, like a beach or one place. So my mind's just all over the place. So which probably tells you a lot about how my brain.
It's totally okay. Should I turn my screen sharing off? Hang on. It's quite normal for that to happen, especially if you have an overactive brain. Often that part doesn't want to relinquish control over everything.
Yeah.
So it would then be rather than trying to, because some people also can't visualize as well as others. So rather than trying to have this big image and create that in your mind and have everything there, just start off small with something little, or get a sense. So if the beach was something that's important to you, you don't have to visualize the whole beach, but maybe just tune into why you love the beach. What is it? Okay, it's the sunset. And maybe just have a picture of the sun, or try to feel what it would be like to have the water on your feet, or use other parts of your senses or hearing or whatever, and come into the image in a different way, if that makes sense.
So are some people, you say that some people find it easier to visualize than others. Why is that?
So basically, that comes from like the NLP thing. We have different ways, we have different systems that are stronger, some are stronger than others. So some people are really visually focused, some people are very sound focused. And it just depends. What are the other ones? I think there's smell and kinesthetic. So some people, a lot of their things will come from a sense of touch or body sensations. Others will be able to visualize a lot and get that, but it doesn't always work that way. You'll have a system that kind of is more powerful than the other. So it's about finding out which systems work for you, if that is kind of clear. It might be that you are more, rather than creating an image, it might be that it works better for you to listen to music, and the music that you listen to is what evokes a feeling.
Yeah, I could relate to that more, I think.
Yeah,
hearing a music track immediately puts you in a different mood or a different space.
Yeah. So then that would be your way of connecting into your heart. I would say, rather than, if you're journaling or doing a meditation, rather than sitting down and really trying to create this image and emit the feeling, do the balanced breathing so that your system is coherent and balanced. And then put on your favorite song and just let yourself move to the song a bit. Like, let yourself feel the emotion behind the song and just move your body with that, and see how that feels differently to sitting down and trying to imagine an image.
Okay.
Yeah, I find that my challenge is a little bit like Jill, is I can't stop. My mind doesn't switch off. It keeps coming back to what needs to be done, or my phone is on silent, but I can hear it buzzing, and it's just really, really hard. And I can visualize, but I find that my mind and my heart just doesn't go into this ideal switching off mode.
Yeah.
But I agree, music can help actually.
So you 100% would be able to get yourself there eventually. So I don't want you to feel like don't limit yourself with that kind of the thought process of, I'm never going to be able to do this. It's totally okay if you're in a place at the moment whereby your head is kind of ruling things at the moment. It's just a case of practice. Like, for example, I would normally work with clients over a 12-week basis. You've had a 10-minute session of getting your body into balance. Like, of course, you're not going to be able to get it in that instance. Your system needs to be trained, that you've got to be like, it needs to be repatterned into this sense of being able to calm everything down. Your brain has to learn how to not be so active, and that takes time. So don't give yourself a hard time if you're not able to kind of quieten the thoughts and things like that at the moment. It's okay.
Okay, thanks.
How often do you recommend to do it?
Balanced breathing. So as much as you can, but let's not be unrealistic about the fact that everyone has busy lives, and to say, oh, you should do it every day, I don't think is particularly realistic. I try and do 3 times a week, and that will kind of, I'll do that different days. So I've had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday quite free for me this week, so I made sure and did some sort of balanced breathing or longer meditation on those days, and that's what I could commit to this week. I don't have time to do it at the moment, and I don't have time as such a limiting belief. I shouldn't say that, but that's where I feel like I was able to fit it in. So obviously, if you're able to do even 5 minutes just when you wake up, it's better than nothing. If you want, I have a balanced breathing that I recorded, which I can send to you ladies. It's about 10 minutes and it has some instructions on how to do it. So you're more than welcome to have that and just practice.
I think that would be good. That would be good, because it's
the wider network as well.
Yeah, definitely. I've got it in a G drive, so maybe I'll give you, it might be easier for me to give you the link access to that, and then you can drop it, because there's some other bits and bobs of like recording of how to do it and some journal prompts and stuff like that. So you can have access to that.
Thank you.
We usually send out a follow-up email afterwards, Charlie, so we can include it in that. Thank you.
Okay, cool. How was it kind of trying to touch into your heart and the questions and things that you kind of deeply need and what you value? What was the kind of things that came up with that?
I always seem to go to personal stuff with things like this rather than work. And I know obviously we've been talking about how we apply this for business. It's very hard to switch. It always seems to come back to personal. I don't know how do you bring that round to helping you think, you know, with a business? I suppose if you run your own, it's obviously a different situation, but how do you kind of bring that round?
So I would probably say that maybe firstly, there's some bits in you that you need to align first and to play around with first. And then when you're aligned, it's when you can think about your business. So it always comes from you first. Your wisdom comes from you first. The ideas, the creativity comes from you first. And obviously you then utilize that in your business. What we want is to be able to get you to an aligned place. So it could be that you were thinking about something that you value first rather than a value for your business, but they're all kind of interlinked. So ultimately this is about how do we get you heart connected and aligned so that then you can show up as that aligned leader in your business, but also life as well. So everything comes from, like, the wisdom comes from you first, and then you apply that to the business space.
How do you know when you're in that state of alignment?
So it's kind of practice, and you have to learn how your intuition communicates, basically, because it can be really easy to dismiss it. So so one of my friends, for example, I was doing some stuff with her, and she said, I was doing a meditation and I had this image come up about her as a child. It was quite an upsetting image for her, but it was very much a inner child thing, a memory, and something about not feeling loved. And I was like, wow, that's a really powerful thing to come from your heart. She was like, yeah, but whatever. It could have just been a random thing. It's like, don't dismiss, because when you dismiss those things, you're stopping the connection coming through. So first of all, it's about learning how your senses come up. So another lady I was working with who was also very mind focused, when she managed to quieten her mind, her heart gave her this image of a whoopee cushion. She never thinks about whoopee cushions. It's like the most random thing in the entire world. And when you then ask your head, what am I meant to know here about this whoopee cushion? She knew in an instant it was about having more fun. Her heart was saying, I want to have more fun. I want for you to relax. I want for you to have more enjoyment. But she was in a place where she was curious enough to let images come through, and then curious enough to explore what it might mean by bringing in the logical mind to be like, okay, so what could this mean? What does this whoopee cushion thing mean? And you'll just generally find that when you practice the balanced breathing, when you practice kind of connection, you'll have that, when you come to do it, you'll have this sense of calm. You'll just feel calm in the moment. And there won't be, I mean, look, our brains obviously wander all the time. It's about, you know, that can calm down and you can get rid of it, but that's just something that happens. We think, we overthink, and that's what happens. But when you start changing the patterning with that, you'll find more and more that there'll be less of the mind chatter and more of the dropping into just getting this sense of peace and calm. And rather than lots of thought processes going on in your head, you'll just get sort of one-word answers come to mind, like, oh, okay, peace. And it'll just be like, it's just like this calming effect. It's hard to explain. You kind of have to practice to be able to get what that's like, but it's going to feel more calm than it is anxious.
It's interesting when I was you saying about things coming to you that you weren't expecting, because rather like Jill and Isabel, and I think other people here, I struggle a bit to stop my brain from banging on about to-do lists and things, particularly doing this in the middle of a work day. But you know, I was doing my best and trying to go, lovely, I'll speak to you later about that. And kind of move on. But actually, when you started saying think about someone who you think you could send positivity to, I started casting the net for who the people that appeared were not the people who I necessarily would have thought would have appeared as possibilities to send positivity to. So I think it's interesting, just when you're in any sort of even slightly different state, even if you're doing it really badly like I was, I do think it kind of impacts how your brain accesses things somehow.
Definitely, you're in a different state, and it does take practice. It is something that takes practice, or like you say, working with someone for an extended period of time, so you're repatterning kind of how your body is working. I would just allow yourself to get curious rather than needing to have an answer. So every time you sit down to do any breathing, or try and be like, what does my heart desire? Just be curious about it rather than needing to have an answer or needing to have communication. And when you come at that place that's slightly more playful, that's slightly kind of less pressure, you're more likely to be in a place where you can allow these wisdom pieces to come up. Because otherwise it gets to that point of like, well, nothing came up, so obviously I'm just rubbish at this, so I'm just crap. And that's not the case. It's not the case at all. It's just practice and understanding what works for you. And everyone's different. Like I say, maybe you're a visual person, maybe you're a music person, maybe your smells, maybe it's about going and finding some essential oils or some smells of things that you really love, and going and finding them and touching them and smelling them and see what happens. Like, just be curious.
So when you're working one-to-one with somebody, and you say like over a 12-week period, do you drill down to specifics? So if people are coming to you and this is as build within a business context of how do you kind of let this affect, start with yourself, but let this affect the way that you manage your business. Is it like a counselling thing where people will come to you and say, well, I've got this real problem with one of my members of staff or whatever like that? Does it ever get to that sort of nitty-gritty detail, or is it more?
So generally people wouldn't come to me about an issue that they're having within like another member of staff. But for example, if you are, let's say you're wanting to make a career move, or you're wanting to push yourself out of your comfort zone in your business, or anything like that, you've got some big decisions to make, but you're not making them, or you're scared to make them, or you're not making the courageous moves that you want to, or you keep messing up in pitches because you're too nervous and don't feel like you're good enough to do them. It's that sort of stuff. So it's like, okay, I'm so anxious at work in my job at the moment and I really want to get my next career move, or I just want to show up more confidently in meetings, but I can't do it. So, okay, let's start looking at where that patterning is coming from. And it will be something within you, as in we drill down into, I'm feeling scared about meetings. So, okay, well, what is it that's actually happening there? There'll be a block around not feeling worthy. Normally it always comes down to like the fears of being seen, not feeling worthy, not feeling lovable, and not feeling deserving. Maybe there's part of you that doesn't feel deserving of success, or you don't feel like you're worthy of having what you desire. And that will come from something that's happened. You've had some sort of experience, whether it's in a child or in the past, where you've just related to, or maybe you had a bad pitch and someone said that you were rubbish, or maybe it was when you were at school and someone told you that you were a crap friend. Whatever it is, it can be the tiniest thing, but through working together and peeling back the layers, generally you'll find the root cause of that problem. And then what we'll do is we'll use the NLP sort of timeline therapy stuff, where I'll guide you back to that moment when you were at school and that bully told you that you weren't good enough. And we kind of take a step back from that moment so you can come at it from your adult view and be like, okay, I see the younger me down there feeling like she wasn't good enough. What can I send her now to help her not feel those feelings? And what happens is you kind of change the way you relate to it. It's hard to explain, but it really works. You change the way that you relate to it. You come back off that timeline, come back to your present state, and you find that the activation that you were getting, the emotional activation that you were having from that moment, isn't with you in the present anymore. So you can work past that block of the fear of being seen, of not having courage to show up, because the subconscious emotion that was there blocking you has been changed, it's been shifted. It's not holding you back anymore in your present moment. And then what we'll do is future pace. So when you future pace, as I said before, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what isn't. Like, it takes everything that you view in your mind's eye as real. So how do you want to be showing up? How does the best version of you show up in your business, or show up at work, show up as a CEO? What is she doing? What does she look like? What decisions is she making? What's she achieving? How is she embodying that whole person of this kind of confident, courageous, like, who is this woman? And we visualize you stepping into that person. We get you feeling the emotion, emoting behind that vision, because if subconscious likes to be teased, it likes to kind of work towards the images that you have. So by getting rid of the block that was holding you back and activating the anxious emotion within you and changing that, that affects how you are in the present moment. And then we future pace you into the future for you to really embody what this person is, who this person is, so you can feel confident to work towards her. That makes sense, because I really can talk a lot.
I think that makes great sense. And it seems like to do this process that you're talking about, you'd have to make yourself very, very open and very vulnerable, and there'd have to be a lot of trust between your client and you, and confidentiality and all the rest of it, because we're all working in business, and we do to an extent, although you might try not to, but to an extent you have a persona that you are while you're doing that work. And so how do you, if that persona isn't quite a true fit with every part of you as a human being, then how do you, that's hard, I think, to let go of that.
Yeah, it definitely is. So it's about connecting you to that heartfelt person that allows you to show up as you and embrace who you are and your authentic truth, and not worrying about having to be someone else for other people. And 100%, it's vulnerable, but it's also very brave. Like the bravery to kind of do that work, to go inwards and be like, I don't want to be pretending to be someone else. I want to be me and show up as me and show up as the confident me. That's, yes, vulnerable, but also super brave. And what's the other side of that is this whole other way of being that just allows you to be you and feel connected to that and buzzing as that and not worrying about what other people think, because you are so connected to your authentic truth. 100% the container needs to feel supportive. You have to feel that has to be trust between us. I'm here to put you out of your comfort zone in a way. I'm not here to let you hide. I'm here to question the things that you're presenting and making sure that we're actually getting to the root cause of the problem, not what you're sort of presenting because it's easier. So it's not always an easy process. Like, it's emotional, but often what's holding us back are emotional blocks, and those things need to be released. When you're not doing that, the emotion sits in your body still. And again, that's why it can cause anxiety and tension and stress, because we haven't released the things that are holding us back. So yeah.
And practically, how are you delivering this? Are you doing this all in person, or a hybrid thing, or all online? Or
I'm doing it online at the moment. It works really well, I find, actually, mainly because people like to be comfortable in their own home. So when you're kind of doing this deeper work and you're in your own space and you don't have to worry about rushing to get there or rushing to go anywhere afterwards, it works really well. So we'll have 12 weeks together, session every other week, a deep dive session. So we're there for 60 to 90 minutes, kind of going through this process of getting you aligned and going deeper. And then in between sessions, I send you home play to do. You have access to me for any questions. If you feel like blocks are coming up, or you have things that kind of came up from the session that you want help with, you have access to kind of speak to me on a day-to-day basis. And also I start sending you personalized meditations. So things that you're working on, if it was like an inner child thing, or you wanted to get more playful with connecting to that younger version of you, I'll do meditations and things to send you to listen to in the kind of couple of weeks between our next sessions, so you can play with that. Because the work isn't just the sessions. If you really want to get the most out of it, you have to be willing to commit to that 12 weeks and show up for yourself. And it's not just showing up for the 90 minutes with me, it's showing up for yourself in the in-between time, in contemplating what comes up, in noticing how your body felt before and after the session, and in sitting down and journaling your thoughts and doing the balanced breathings. Like, you want the energy in that container to kind of really be there, so you feel like you're moving through that transformation, and you get what you give in, what you put in, basically. If you don't do the work in between, then you're not going to get as much of a transformation at the end. But if you really commit to it, then the shifts are there to be had. You just have to be willing to kind of go within and get curious.